Mike, before we get to your offense, I guess how much work did you do with Caleb? Coming out the year before, it was pretty clear he was going to go number one, but I know you guys were all into the quarterbacks that year.
Yeah, we did a lot of research on all those guys in that early part of the draft.
So what did you think of him?
He's a really impressive quarterback. I know this is a couple years ago, but I enjoyed watching him. The explosives, the run around, the playmaking. It was cool to watch. It was fun to watch. It's good tape.
He went through some struggles as a rookie. I mean, I'm sure a lot of quarterbacks do. How much do you think that can benefit guys in the long term? I know, you'd rather have success early, but if you do have struggles, to be able to sort of learn from that, and has that then applied to Jackson here?
Yeah, I really haven't watched a ton of stuff on Caleb just over the course of the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, I really think as a football player, you go through those struggles, those down periods. Those are the best times for growth. Those are best periods for growth because you get to learn, and then you learn from those experiences. You learn from those things that happen. Then you allow yourself to get better and become a better football player. So anytime you go through those ups and downs, as long as you approach it the right way mentally, you can take it and use it as an advantage.
Like Darius Slayton has had some, really good seasons here. Why do you think it hasn't come together since Malik went out? It seemed like, he'll step in and, he'll get a lot of targets. He'll go back to being Darius Slayton, the guy who led the team in receiving yards for 5 years or whatever. Why has it not clicked in the 5 weeks it's been?
Well, I have a ton of confidence in Slay and all the stuff that he does in the pass game and the run game, who he is as a leader and a captain of the team, how he is in the meeting rooms. And listen, we're right in the middle of the season, and there's a lot of season left. So we're excited. We're putting together a great third down plan today, and Slay and all the receiving group is going to be involved in that. So we got to make sure we have a great day today.
He had such a great connection with Daniel for so many years. Do you think there's just a part of it of learning a new quarterback?
Sure. I mean, we spent a lot of time together in the off season and throughout training camp too, and you guys are out here and watching the RVAs and all those details. We spent hours and hours in the meeting rooms talking about the routes and stuff like that. So, sure, is it it's a new quarterback throwing the football? Yes, but we spent a lot of work, and these guys are pros. These guys are this is what they do. So they communicate a lot. They talk about a lot of these routes and just get on the same page.
With Ray, I'm curious, for someone who knows this offense a little bit with Dable, how is it integrating him in? Is it more seamless, or is there still a little bit of adjustment for somebody, even though they are familiar with this offense?
Yeah, there is some level of familiarity with it. It's been a couple years since then, but he's jumping into what we're doing with some of the stuff offensively, whether it's the code words, formationally, put him in different spots. But he's done a great job. Was really impressed by how he handled the workload the last couple weeks.
And then Sunday, I guess that was obviously his debut. He got a lot of reps. How would you assess what he did with those reps? He had one catch, but just overall, What did you see from him in game film?
It was great. I mean, I thought he did a really nice job. He was great on the sideline in terms of communicating and any adjustments we need to make. He was easy for him just to go in there and adjust. But I thought he did a really nice job, again, for a guy stepping in and playing 50-something plays, wherever it was. He did a nice job.
Mike, I know not all drops are the same and not all players are the same, but when Theo's had a couple pet plays this year where I'm sure he wishes he had back. How do you work that with a younger player who you want to be a big part of the offense? And you've had situations where there have been a couple that have gotten away from him in key situations.
Yeah, I think Theo knows how much trust we have in him, how much belief we have in him, and we know he's going to make a big play. He's been doing it since he's been here. And so, he's going to get more opportunities to do it. And I have full confidence that he'll go and capitalize on it.
Would you rather see Jackson push the ball down the field or get back to pushing the ball down the field more? Felt like the Niners were taking that away, and he was taking what they were giving him. But a lot of the third downs were kind of like, let's say it's a 3rd and 8, it's a 4-yard gain punt. Are you satisfied with him taking what's underneath and it ends up losing possession, or would you rather see him test into coverage?
Yeah, I think there's a fine line there, and I think and Jackson's playing pretty fast in terms of decision making, which is really good. And what it allows for those underneath receivers to kind of get some catch and run, right? So sometimes when you're designing plays on 3rd down or 1st, 2nd down, there's shots down the field where if they have it, they're going to shoot it, and Jackson's giving those guys opportunities. And if it's not, and a certain defender, whether you're reading a flat defender or high-lowing a certain defender, if that guy gets depth, we check it down fast, and now we got to catch it and rely on catch and run. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you're close, and maybe we go for it on fourth down. So that's the part of playing quarterback that I think Jackson's doing a really good job with. And you balance that and understand, all right, where are we at in the game? There's going to be opportunities where we're going to have to push it past the sticks, regardless of where we're at, based on the time on the clock, the score, all those type of things. But I think early in the game, when you're playing the game, you're playing the position. All right, I'm using my movement keys, my read keys. I'm playing fast, get the ball out. I mean, we've seen Wan'Dale make those conversions underneath when you're short of the sticks and you got to go knife it, or in screen situations where it's third and extra long when you go catch it belly, same thing. So there's been guys that have done that, and that's part of the National Football League. You're not just going to be able to sit back there, hang back all day long and shoot the sticks, but if you play on time and on schedule, that gives our guys the opportunity to work in space.
Like back to Art's question, are drops about Theo? Are drops like something you just expect over time, concentration, more experience to get better, or are drops something where some guys just don't have great hands?
Yeah, I certainly don't expect any of our guys to drop it. We practice it. We take great pride in being able to catch the football. So those things happen. It's the football. It's not a game of perfect. Never is. I think you just go back to your fundamentals, your concentration, and look into those things. And again, it's never just one person on those type of things. It could be, a number of people that have it that affect the play, whether it's the protection, whether it's the route depth, whether it's the ball placement, whether it's the play call into a certain coverage. So everyone's really a part of those type of things. And so you're never really, of course, the one result is going to affect one person, but at the end of the day, we're focused on the fundamentals and working through those things.
What did you think of the play he made for the touchdown where he stiff-armed the guy?
Yeah, it was a flat route that he broke a great tackle, made a great play on the sideline. To start the way that we've been starting in the games, that was a good drive, and capped it off with a nice aggressive, finish.
Simplistically, with the way you started games has been outstanding with the offense. Are there any common threads that you guys are trying to bring towards the rest of the games? I know that sounds simplistic, but what can you take from the starts and apply for the rest of the games? I mean, is it simple as scripted plays versus adjustments? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to the players just executing. They've been doing a great job early in the game, executing, playing with great tempo and great urgency, communication. And so we just got to continue to do that throughout the game, throughout the drives. And I think the one thing that, we've been emphasizing, just the pre-snap stuff. The pre-snap penalties have hurt us over the course of the last few weeks in terms of stalling out in the second and third drives. So we got to do a good job of, staying ahead and staying in front of the chains and staying on track early in the down.
I think the expectation based off last year was that Tyrone was going to handle the majority of the running back snaps. It ended up being close to about 50-50. How much of that was pre-planned, game script, and is that kind of what you'd like to see going forward here with those two guys?
Yeah, that's good. Trace is going to be the starter, and he's done a really good job with his opportunities. I think when you get into the flow of the game, sometimes, and when you're playing fast, it's hard to kind of keep track of the number count, because you're on the ball, and then maybe one guy might tap and we get another guy in there. So I think it's easier to kind of track those like each quarter, each half, one of those type of things. But when you're in the flow of the game and guys are run the ball well, you're feeding a certain guy and our O-line's playing well. So I think it's a little bit more difficult to track when you're playing with tempo versus like when you can huddle up every single play and get the the right guy in every single run. So that's just probably the biggest difference over the last few years, I'd say.
Like what does Ben Johnson do really well as a play caller, as an offensive mind?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't studied him besides for maybe just a couple cut-ups that we've crossed over on it. But I know they've had a lot of production in terms of points, in terms of explosives and stuff like that. So they're obviously doing something really well on that side of it. I haven't studied, just that offense specifically. You look across the league at what teams are doing generally, but haven't had an opportunity to really study a singular offense.
What about the Bears defense?
Last one.
I'm sorry?
What you've seen from the Bears
Yeah,
defense?
Bears defense, they're doing a heck of a job with getting turnovers. They tackle the football. Byard, their skill guys are doing a great job in terms of tracking the football down and getting interceptions or leading the league in interceptions. They're 6th in fumbles. So, I mean, these guys, this is a high turnover defense, and, we got to make sure we have great ball security this week.